What's going on, my friends? Welcome back to another Zachoy stream. And we're going to be talking about all kinds of things in the stream, not necessarily just cannabis. My intention with this stream today was to be as open and as authentic as possible. I had a really interesting conversation with ChatGPT actually today. I saw a video on TikTok where somebody said you could use ChatGPT as a quantum leap coach. And I was like, that's a genius idea. And so I just figured I would jump on here and set the intention of being as open and willing to be, open with you guys. For those of you that are joining the stream, what's up, Panda Fang, my loyal homie? How's it going? Feel free to drop any questions. Feel free to drop any comments. If you're in the chat, I would really, really appreciate it if you would let me know if the sound is all good, if you can see me, if you can hear me, and we'll jump into it. Drop your questions, drop your comments, and I would love to get crack-a-lackin' with y'all. First and foremost, I didn't come up with a script or anything, so forgive me if I'm a little, a little lost as far as what to talk about specifically. But I'm going to go ahead and start just by telling you about where the ideas came from, where the, where this desire to speak on openness came from. So, like I said, I found this video on TikTok where a woman was talking about how you could use ChatGPT to be a quantum leap coach. And the idea of a quantum leap comes from this book called Quantum Leap by a guy by the name of Bryce Pritchett, I think. If I'm getting that correct, let me know. And so she was talking in the video about how she, was having these conversations with ChatGPT. And for her, the issue was money, right? I mean, everybody's got their main thing. For her, it sounded like she was trying to make a breakthrough regarding money. And of course, for me, there's a million and one things that I want to make a breakthrough in right now. And I'm going to go ahead and first and foremost say that this channel and conversating with you all has been one of the most helpful things that I've ever done but really that I've done in years specifically. That aside, so what I did was I decided to jump on. I'm going to try to turn the gain down just a little bit. Up, low, 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 low. Okay, cool. So what I did was I, said to ChatGPT, hey, I'm going to use you as a quantum leap coach. And so we went deep. And one of the things that ChatGPT advised me to do was to try to live as honestly as possible. And I tend to be pretty good at that already, but I figured, hey, what the heck? I'm going to jump on here and try to speak as authentically as I possibly can for whatever it is that you all decide to ask me. So we have a couple comments already. Like I said, what up, Panda Fang? We got Puppet of Only One. What up, Puppet of Only One? How's it going? Hope you're well. And Puppet asks, what is your largest struggle with weed currently? Also, no worries. I assume you're talking about sound and video and volume and all that kind of thing. It looks like on my volume mixer, I might be a little loud still, so I'm going to turn it down just a little bit more. So for those of you watching at home later on, my apologies if the audio is shit. Sometimes it may be good, sometimes it may be shit. But, so what is my current struggle with weed? So I haven't said this on the stream yet, I don't think. I am currently 5 days totally without any cannabis, without, smoking weed. It feels good. I'm dreaming again. That's like the biggest thing that I've noticed. I can't say that I necessarily feel sharper or like, oh my God, I'm being flooded with ancient memories of my childhood and shit. But, yeah, the dreams are crazy, man. Like the other night, I'm trying to remember exactly what my dream was about last night. But the other night, I had a dream that I was in this woman's house, and all of a sudden she transformed into an octopus. And for some reason, I had her child in a jar who was an octopus child, and she was like trying to attack me, the octopus lady, and I was like threatening to drop her octopus child on the ground, like, hey, don't mess with me, I'm gonna drop your octopus child. I don't know if I would ever drop somebody's octopus child as a threat. But anyway, so the dreams are coming back, which is really, really interesting. So yeah, Puppet, I don't know if that answers your question. Yeah, so thank you for letting me know that everything's good. But yeah, so I don't really have too much to offer as far as the effects of not having smoked in the last few days. The other thing that I would say is I don't necessarily know if I am committed entirely to like fully quitting. I just think that this is a really big step for me, and I'm happy with the results so far. And like I said, I live really, really far away from where I otherwise buy weed from, so I don't really have any other way to get it. Like I said, I could go buy the THCA or Delta 8, but I'm happy with the way things are going, and I'm okay with not making ultimatums. I mean, just by the way, I'm covered in shit because this is my painting shirt or my doing shit shirt, and I was outside shoveling some mulch, gonna try to garden this year, so you already know what it is. But I think my struggle now, what would I define my struggle as now? Maybe it's redefining who I am, and this is kind of coming back to what I was talking about regarding the whole idea of the quantum leap and using ChatGPT as this quantum leap coach. And I will say that I do have some ethical concerns about ChatGPT, as everyone should. But yeah, I mean, I think that it's this idea of, I used weed, or a big part of the reason that I used weed and have used weed, and shall I say do use weed, is as an escape, right? It's like a mechanism for walking away from my problems, for kind of taking a step away from, what I know that I really could be, right? The person that I believe that I could become. And using cannabis as sort of this mechanism for becoming a hermit, right? I know that there's a challenge in front of me. I know that I want to transform who I am. And so when the challenge arises, when it comes in front of me and I feel like I need to take something on, the smoking is a really good way to be like, okay, we'll get to that. We will do that. But first things first, I just need a little break, right? I need to take a little rest. I need to regroup. I need to kind of head count, figure out the state of my troops, and then we'll attack this head on. The problem is that it almost always becomes a situation where I never end up attacking the challenge. Or if I do end up attacking the challenge, I'm nerfed as hell, right? I'm like attacking the challenge, leaving my cavalry at home. I know I'm using a lot of like strategic military references here for somebody that is not in the military. But my point is sort of that it's like I am actively setting up a handicap for myself so that I have an excuse not to show up with everything, right? I have an excuse for why things don't really work out. Or I'm like setting myself up to be able to have access to that excuse, if that makes sense. And so I feel like that's really the main thing that I'm focusing on overcoming right now, right? It's becoming a brand new person. It's becoming somebody who, whether or not I look forward to the challenge, it's becoming a person who prepares for the challenge, who sets up so that I am actively coming at the challenge with everything I've got, right? Actively setting the intention that whether I win or lose, I absolutely will. I want to overcome this challenge, and I'm showing up as though I actually have that intention. Puppet says, I've noticed it can be helpful, but you don't hit the same caliber if you use marijuana. Lots of progress, and I am pro weed. Yeah, cool. I mean, I would say that overall, I am pro weed. I mean, I'm definitely pro legalization. I absolutely do think it's beneficial for people in certain medical situations, and as an occasional thing, absolutely. I can see it being beneficial. But yeah, I don't think that you reach the same caliber if you use weed. Now, the caveat to that is that there are people that have chronic illness. There are people that experience chronic pain. There are people with crippling PTSD that really struggle to feel balanced and normal and safe just in their regular existence. And of course there's work that you can do to perhaps overcome these things, but for many people, I do believe that cannabis is absolutely beneficial. I just don't think that I'm one of those people, right? I think I'm a person that started using it recreationally with friends, and then that recreational use kind of turned into this emotional dependency that, while I perhaps knew that it was not serving me to the best of, to the highest level, I leaned on it and I really used it as this thing that I stepped back into it and used as like a shroud to hide in, a veil, so to speak. And so I would agree with that comment, Puppet. I am Indy says, just watched your video from yesterday. You put a lot of my feelings about weed into words, helping with my awareness. And they say, love, bro. Hey, much love back to you as well, Mindy. Yeah, I mean, I think that the best thing that I can possibly do on YouTube is show up and be authentic. I really struggled for a long time with making YouTube videos or content in general from this perspective that I had to position myself as some kind of expert, professional, somebody that was above you in some way, and thereby was, I had the right to impart information on you. And in the last couple months, I mean, I've just been making videos from the place of like, look, when I feel most comfortable on social media, and I've always been decent at being authentic on social media, but I didn't really know that was what you're supposed to do, or I didn't know that you really could do that, shall we say, and grow and be somebody that people wanted to spend time around. I felt like once in a while I would be authentic when I just had no more fucks to give, and I would say something that just was me needing to say something because perhaps I didn't have any other outlet, right? But yeah, I don't know. I think recently with these videos, I've just been like, you know what? Clearly, this is stuff that you guys resonate with, and so I have nothing to hide. I'm not a gatekeeper. I mean, I'm a person that's a bit rough around the edges. In many ways, I'm thoroughly fucked, and so I just figured that so are you guys, right? We all have things that we're going through. We all have struggles. We all have things that we're not proud of, and I just no longer feel the sense that I need to gatekeep what I'm not proud of. I no longer feel the need to sort of protect my image to strangers, or hell, I mean, people I actually know in real life that watch my videos and whatnot. I've kind of gotten to the point that, the people that I look up to the most are the people that are just who they are. Of course they're compassionate. Of course they're kind. Of course they're respectful. Those are qualities that I value in a person. But they are also people that they're just who they are, and they don't have this crippling shame that prevents them from stepping into the light and really serving other people. So that's kind of what I figured would be the best thing that I could do, and clearly that's working out. I mean, like I said, before I made that 10 years of weed addiction video, I had 880 subscribers. I made a video about this on TikTok actually. Like, if you go to my 2024 YouTube analytics, I gained 32 subscribers throughout the entire year, which is amazing. I mean, it's phenomenal, and I'm so grateful to all of those people because they were following along with content that I was making in terms of self-development, as I was predominantly making money from fitness training at the time. But if you look at the analytics, it's like gained a subscriber, lost a subscriber, gained a subscriber, and then I made this one YouTube short that gained a bunch of subscribers. But just in the last month and a half, I've gained over 6,000 subscribers. That one video has almost 500,000 views now, and it's like, is it validation that I was looking for? I don't know, but it's validation that we all struggle, right? And that when you are a person who tries to gatekeep and pretend that you're some kind of elite individual, you're kind of hard to relate to, right? How many of us are perfect? I've never met a perfect person. In fact, the people that are presentedly the most perfect tend to be, the people that have some of the deepest issues, my dog. And so, I'm really lucky that I did the work, right? And I've come out of being buried by a lot of trauma, right? I've come out from being buried by depression and anxiety, and I'm so grateful that I did those things. And I feel like at very least I can give other people permission to try to do the same thing. Andrew says, happy Saturday, brother. Hope all is well. Andrew, I'm so glad that you're here. What up, Andrew? Puppet of Only One says, oh yeah, I'm collecting mental illness like Pokemon cards, so zero judgment. Love that, dude. That's raw. I appreciate that. Jordan says, this is the type of honest communication that's severely lacking today. One thing I've noticed is every once in a while I feel content and happy without being high. I don't know how to cultivate it more purposefully. Jordan, stick around, because me neither, dude. But that's what I'm doing here. And I fully agree, right? I mean, it was funny that the day that I made, or maybe the week leading up to that, video, the 10 years of weed addiction video, the thing that I had been thinking about was, the people that I watch the most on YouTube are the people that are just kind of doing their thing. What up, Bill? How's it going? What up, Matthew? Hell yeah, man. Matthew says 14 days. Today, you helped me quite a bit. Dude, I love that. That's super dope. Good for you. You're further along than I am. I'm only 5 days fully clean. So, and like I said, I don't know if I'm going to stay fully clean, but I definitely am not going back to smoking every day, right? And I have no plans to smoke weed again. And, one of the things that I'm going to really, I am going to be doing is being really conscious of, I feel really good and I'm really happy that I've done this and I'm proud of myself, right? I'm going to say that, right? I am proud that I've done this. And if I go to smoke again, how am I really going to feel if I smoke, right? Is it going to be fun? Is it going to be creative? But then am I going to be encouraged to smoke again the next day, right? If I give myself the pass to have an evening where I smoke, how much more likely am I going to be to smoke the next morning? Pretty damn likely, probably, right? The policing's got to step up. Got to step up the policing. And that's okay. Loving policing. None of that American police work. And never mind. We're not going to get into politics. But anyway, yeah. So I mean, I think Jordan, the honest communication, it's something that I value from other people, right? And when I'm really willing to reflect, like that's when I've gotten the most accolades from other people, and that's when I felt like I really served people the best, when I was just doing my thing, when I was just being myself. And I think that's where this all really came from, was just that, I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna be who I am. I'm gonna speak honestly. Nobody watches my videos anyway, so what the hell? Like, it's all good. Not nobody. 200 people. If you imagine a room with 200 people in it, that's a lot of people. Right? Now, granted, most of them don't watch past the 30-second mark, but my point stands. I don't want to talk down to getting 200 views, because that's good. That's something to be proud of. One view is something to be proud of, dude. But that's just what I value, right? And so I felt like, I'm just going to do this. This is me speaking my truth. This is going to help me, right? It's going to help me to make this video. But then here we are. I made that video on January 3rd or something, and we're almost at the beginning of April, and that video has almost 500,000 views. And I mean, it's given me a sense of like, okay, like this is helpful. People need this. And by the way, my window's open and I live on a busy street, so I apologize if you hear cars going by. If an ambulance goes by, y'all already know it's gonna happen. There's an ambulance dispatch just down the road. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Even since I started smoking weed as a social thing, now it's something I do by myself because I shut down socially. Yeah, and Ethan, isn't it ironic, right? That weed shuts you down socially, right? It can shut you down socially. It shuts me down socially in many ways. Like I can have engagements with intimate friends, while smoking weed. But there is a point, even in those engagements, when eventually it's like, okay, I kind of need to chill. We all end up collapsed on the couch. There's something in my eye, so sorry for any excessive blinking. But it does. It kind of renders you. It ultimately renders you tired. It ultimately renders you numb, and that doesn't feel very good, right? It's kind of funny that most of us have this subconscious wiring that it's like weed is going to solve the stress. Weed is going to create a sense of peace, and yet that ultimately does not happen, right? It creates tension, it creates anxiety, it creates fear, and even if they're low key because you smoke regularly, you do still experience it, right? Puppet of Only One says, honest communication is the most fulfilling. Yeah, it is absolutely. Jordan says same, but I didn't understand that at first. I was coping about coping. And Jordan, read through the comments, right? Not on these comments, y'all are chill, but on my most recent videos, there is a huge amount of cope, right? There's a huge amount of projection. You can't be addicted to weed, right? Like you just kind of suck as a person. I don't want to listen to this because you're peddling like your own personal failure. I mean, in many ways that's true, but that's what being authentic is. And I think a lot of people feel that they are being personally attacked because they're not willing to reflect. Now, I need to be careful because I tend to be kind of an attack dog in a lot of ways. I mean, if you guys follow me on TikTok, my whole thing is political debates, and I love politics, and I love getting in back and forths with people, but I can be kind of reactive, and I don't want to do that because I understand that where these people are coming from. I was that person at one point that was like, there's nothing wrong with weed. Weed is phenomenal. It's medicine. It's always good. And yeah, I mean, you can be a stoner, but there's actually nothing wrong with being a stoner other than just objectively you are high all the time. And so everybody's on their own journey, and it's not really up to me to try to force a reality on somebody, especially when that reality is inherently subjective. Now, since kind of going through this, and maybe I should give you guys some backstory on where I come from in terms of weed. So I kind of always knew that it wasn't really for me. I mean, the first few times that I smoked as, a teenager, I was anxious as a motherfucker. But the thing is, I didn't know it at the time, but weed was physicalizing my anxiety. The anxiety that I was experiencing being, a person that was anxious for whatever reason, trauma, these kinds of things, it made that anxiety very much a physical thing, and it gave me an excuse to be with that anxiety and not controlling it, right? I think a lot of the time when you have an anxiety attack, or you just kind of live with subconscious anxiety, you don't know why it's happening. You're like, I'm trying to figure out why this thing has a grip on me, and you can't move past it. For me, weed kind of made that external, and it was like, oh, well, it's the weed, right? I smoked weed, it's the THC in my blood, or maybe I didn't even know about THC at the time, but it's the weed that makes me feel like this. And I realized that later on in life when I met a few people who were like, they explained to me why they quit, and I was like, oh, that crippling anxiety, that fear, I feel that 100% every time. So why do I keep doing this? It's like, well, because the weed physicalizes it for you. That's why. So I forget exactly what you said, but yeah, coping about coping. I was there. I mean, I still, my two best friends in the world are still, they smoke every single day. One of them all through the day. And he does not accept any of this. I mean, my other buddy who only smokes in the evenings, he would consider himself a big time fan of weed. He does not relate to any of this, right? He'll explain that it's this, or like, maybe you're just this kind of person, or maybe you just create these excuses in your mind and like you're, blibbity blah, but he won't hear it, and that's fine. That's his life. He let him do what he wants. But I think that there comes a point when right? And I think that if I'm really honest, I've kind of always known. And maybe that's just because I am kind of fundamentally a person that doesn't, like, I know that running away from reality is not going to serve me. I know that when I run away from the things that I deep down truly feel, it's not going to serve me. And so I've sort of always been honest about cannabis. But there is a degree to which I've been, bullshitting myself, and I think we all do it. So there's nothing wrong with that. But here you are, you're being accountable, you're being real with yourself, and that's what matters. Jordan Puppet Master says, I got to scroll back up. There's a jillion other comments. Puppet Master says, just to know it resonated with at least 60% of people is great, and I'm the furthest from your progress probably in the current audience. I take meds for bipolar. That's okay, dude. Yeah, I mean, but the fact is that you're here, and so you're willing to listen, and you're willing to stick around and engage, and that's important. That means a lot. Cole Pal says, K0H Pal says, quit cold turkey 3 weeks ago after 7 years smoking chronically and can feel pretty good. I know you guys can do it. Hell yeah, dude. Good shit. John Gwynn says, hey, been off the cannabis for just over a month. I feel way more alert now. Dope. Glad to hear it. On the Road with James says, I quit for 5 days a couple weeks ago, but I thought I'd have one as a reward and ended up doing it every day again. Dog, it'd be that way. And James says, love from Scotland. Scotland looks beautiful. I cannot wait to go to Scotland. One of my dreams is to backpack through the Scottish Highlands, and so if I do that, I'll hit you up because it would be dope to hang out. Vasco's here. Vasco, good to see you. I'm really glad that you're here, Vasco. But yeah, James. I mean, I think that's the thing, right? It's like, for me, I know it's like, maybe in the future at some point I'll smoke. I'll have a little joint, and it's nice. I mean, there was a point the other week where I, my original goal was to smoke like just at night, or at least every other night or something, like to cut back from smoking throughout the day, just to like at the end of the day, and it was cool, not gonna lie. I mean, I really felt like I was rediscovering my appreciation of weed, the creativity, the expansion of my mind, my curiosity. I was really enjoying like reading fantasy books, and I'm big into like sword play and kind of using swords as a method of Tai Chi. My father's a Tai Chi instructor. One of his many interests, he's a quote unquote Tai Chi master. And so I kind of took the methods that he taught me, and like I use it with swords. It's kind of like a meditative movement. And I was doing all that stuff high, and it felt phenomenal. It was so much fun. But, that didn't last long, right? I got neck pain one day, and I was like, I'll smoke to get rid of the neck pain. And then, like fucking clockwork, right? I was smoking again every day throughout the day. But you know what, James? You tried, and you can try again. And I believe that you can. Matt says, thanks, Jordan. Yeah, Matt. I mean, Matt, you're doing a kick-ass job, man. Bill says, I think I am observing a turn on people's view about weed recently. Will this become a global thing? I don't know, Bill. I mean, in the United States, right, look, we did not do such a good job with, managing any kind of substances. We told everybody it was evil, and then now all of a sudden it's like and that was where I was as a kid. It was like, I was told weed would basically kill you. And then I smoked it, and I was like, this is like, yeah, I'm anxious and stuff, but it was like I was in a fantasy movie. It was fun. It was really engaging. And then I smoked a lot for multiple years, and I was like, what's the problem? Like, this isn't, yeah, maybe my lungs are a little bit weak, but I was still working out a lot. I didn't really feel it too much. It's not about that. The real danger, I think, is over the long term of kind of setting back the person that you could be. And that's kind of how I feel. It's like I took my higher self and I put them by the wayside because I wanted to regularly participate in a habit that gave me an excuse to become a hermit, right? To go into my own mind, to like tinker around and be creative and create, but by myself in my own space. So yeah, I guess I kind of agree with that, Bill, but I don't know. I can't speak too much on it. Copal says, I've noticed I wasn't ready to stop until I got healthier and grounded more. It's funny. I have almost the opposite experience. I am not being super healthy and super grounded right now. I am a person who has a background of exercising a lot, right? And I barely exercise at all right now, but we're getting back, right? I did a little bit of workout today. We're getting back into it, but I want to start pushing myself on that again. But that's interesting. Maybe it's because I felt like I really hit a low, that I was like, you know what, I just can't do this shit anymore. I just can't be numb anymore. I cannot avoid becoming who I really need to be anymore. But to each their own, absolutely. Not Van says, cold turkey 50 days in, just don't feel the need to smoke, but I'm hooked into cigarettes. Yeah, nicotine is definitely harder to kick. No doubt nicotine is harder to kick. So good luck, Not Vanaba. And if you want to join the Discord and join the community and have some people around you to, just have conversations like this on a regular basis, feel free, be my guest, and I would be more than happy to have you. Most of my videos have the link to the Discord in the description. So, but yeah, nicotine's tough. So don't give up though. Don't give up. James says, just keep it up. Big views will come. Never give up. Make this your new addiction. Yeah. I mean, I won't lie. I really am kind of addicted to this. Like when it was 6 o'clock and I was like, shit, I'm not going to, I said that I would stream at 8 and it's like, I want to stream right now. I have a great time with you guys. I mean, you guys are, the fact that you are all as willing to be, authentic with me definitely helps. And so I will admit that I love this shit. This is so much fun. And for those of you that have sent me personal messages, big shout out to Vasco for the long messages. Vasco sends like these really well thought out, thoughtful, well thought out and thoughtful messages, and I'm so grateful for it. It means a lot to me. SI says, oh, Matt asked how my dreams are. Whew. They're back. I mean, first and foremost, I do remember the dream that I had last night. So I'll start with the dream that I had last night because the dream that I had the night before was very memorable. So the dream that I had last night was I was on a plane going to Florida, and then I ended up getting to Florida. Oh my God. Wow. Okay. So I'm on the plane and I realized that I forgot to buy my girlfriend a ticket to get on the plane. And so I'm like on the plane by myself and I'm like, wait a minute, why didn't I get her a ticket? I forgot to get her a ticket. And then as we're flying, I'm realizing like, wait a minute, I forgot to, like, I have no idea where I'm staying. I forgot to book a place. So I used to go to Florida a lot. I used to road trip from where I lived in Maryland down to Florida with my buddy every winter because we had people that, we had a friend from high school that lived in Florida that we would go stay with. So right now, I really don't know anybody in Florida. My mom's cousin, but I don't have a great relation. Like, I don't have a bad relationship with him. I just don't have like a super close relationship with him. Although I'm sure he would love to have me. But I was like, I have no idea where I'm going to stay. And then I ended up, I got to Florida and I remember like walking out and sitting on the beach. And then all of us, like, I think it was the stress or whatever, but Jason Voorhees came out of the water and started like chasing people around, and then I woke up. The night before that, I had a dream that I was in this woman's house or something, and she got really stressed out for some reason and started like being really angry at myself and my girlfriend, and she transformed into an octopus and started attacking us. And I found like one of her kids in a jar, like her little octopus babies, and I was like threatening to like break the jar if she didn't stop attacking us. So hey, man, the dreams are cranking up for show. SI says, I quit last year after 16 years daily abusive spending, $400 to $600 a week near the end, smoking 10 to 20 joints a day. That's, Doug, that is way further than I am. Now I've lost over 50 pounds, run 65 miles a week, and have already ran a few half marathons. Epic. That's a crazy transformation. I am so proud of you. SI says, I was paranoid, anxious, depressed, bloated, and hated myself. I woke up every day with heartburn and was always worried about running out. So I constantly bought more. I went from 2XL 44 waist to medium. Wow. To medium 30 waist. I just went through, oh man, so many comments. Extreme withdrawal. Yeah. I mean, that's incredible, SI. I had no words. That's phenomenal and good for you. And you are the evidence, right? You're the evidence for all of us. And so I'm grateful that you're here. Raver says, much love from Oregon. Oregon's awesome. I always catch your videos. You rock. I've got 14 days clean from weed. Hell yeah. I'm glad that you're here. Congratulations. And next time I'm in Oregon, I'll hit you up because the Pacific Northwest is got to be the most beautiful place in the world. I've been a lot of places, and the Pacific Northwest is beautiful. Jordan says, I legitimately can't remember the last time I dreamed. I think it's been the last year. Yeah, dude. I couldn't either, right? I just like smoking regularly. I never dream. And it's interesting because I value dreams quite a lot. I'm sure none of you are kind of like OG subscribers, but I used to make videos back in the day about astral projection and lucid dreaming. I was big into that stuff in middle school. And I guess for most of high school and then the subsequent years in college and whatnot, I kind of forgot what I was missing out on, and what I wasn't allowing myself to experience, if that makes sense. Because I do think that most of us don't take into account just how much real deep processing is happening in our dreams. And I mean, the incredible, I would argue, supernatural capabilities that you have, that your being has. Maybe that's a conversation for another day, but that was stuff that I was basically sacrificing by smoking on a regular basis. And I shouldn't say was, because I'm only 5 days, not having smoked weed. John says, it's a challenge for sure, but yes, be honest with yourself. I agree, John. Vasco says, 11 years free, had 2 days, 2 weeks ago, stoned, no plans for any more, but who can say? Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, Vasco, right? Like, it's hard to know because it is easier to fall back into. Like, cannabis, if you are a peaceful person and you have a non-anxious relationship with cannabis, it's it's pretty fucking enjoyable, is it not? The problem is, in my opinion, over time, the compounding energetic effects of not just being high, but not being high, right? The withdrawal, the feeling of lows, the lulls. So, I mean, good luck to you, Vasco. And I know you'll stick around and you know, be willing to be authentic and honest, because nobody's going to judge you. This is, you know, I remember trying to quit weed a few years ago, and I was involved, or I was kind of participating in reading a lot, the Leaves subreddit. So if you're familiar with Reddit, Trees is the weed Reddit. Leaves is the subreddit for people that are trying to quit, and they have a Discord. And I remember joining the Discord once, and they personally DM'd me to like ask if I was high, and I was like, you know, I am, you know, and they were like, well, you know, you can't participate in the Discord while you're high. That will never be the case in my environment. Never be the case. I have no, you know, there are no criteria for you to be in this space with us, and that will always be the case. SI says, I never planned on quitting. My body and mind started rejecting it from all the abuse. Yeah, and you know, that might have been sort of what was happening to me. Like in the last few years, I have started to really experience some effects of it. I don't know if like physically, as far as like breathing or anything like that, but my brain especially, like the weird kind of like clicks. I don't know how to describe it. It's almost like like someone pauses everything and then starts it right up again. You know, the lapses in memory. This might be an effect of psychedelics, but you know, like especially, you know, I would notice sort of these like bright light visuals, almost like if you've ever bonked your head or something and you see stars, sort of like that, but a little bit more etheric. I don't know what the word is, but yeah, I have started kind of noticing things in the last couple years. And it doesn't feel awesome. It definitely doesn't feel good. And I it's like I know that it's from smoking weed and getting high all the time. SI says, I can't just do it once at night. I'll just want to do it all day. Yeah, exactly. Hey, Smashly, what's up? Smashly, I realize that your name is like, you're probably like using Smashly as a way to like a play on your actual first name, where I thought that the way that you pronounce that was Smash Lee, almost like Rock Lee. So I don't know. I just think that's funny that I kind of just noticed like, oh, your name is probably just Ashley and you call yourself Smash Lee or something. But I was like, I was referring to you as Smash Lee, like Rock Lee. I thought that was funny. Anyway, Branko says, Branko Brankovic, love it, says 16 years daily smoker. Last 6 months I smoked once a month. I feel so unhappy that I still can't say I am sober. Yeah, I mean, but, you know, and that's something to think about. Like, is that really important to you, to be like, I am fully sober? Because to go from 16 years daily to smoking once a month is a massive change. I'm not going to say an improvement or not, because that's 100% subjective. But if I was trying to cut back and I went from smoking every day to maybe like throughout the day to smoking once a month, that's a massive win. So if you know, I think you should give yourself credit, right? If your goal is to be sober, you've done a huge amount of work. You're doing a lot better than I'm doing, my friend. Yeah, good shit. Give yourself some credit for that. Branko Barankovic. You have a great name, by the way. None you business with the Chad face says, the dangerous thing with weed is that you never realize how subtly it steals all your potential. And that's the thing, right? It's a compounding over time. I think that's the danger. Right, I don't think the danger is that you're gonna like collapse a lung, or you're going to, you know, have a seizure or something. Maybe, I mean, fucking maybe. But I think the danger is the sacrifice of the person that you truly could be. Now, maybe we should talk later on about, you know, living a long life and smoking throughout your life, because I also don't think regret and shame is something that is worth living with, right? You know, and I hope that I can maintain that philosophy as I get older, but I do think that a person should be compassionate, right? And they should be respectful and right wrongs. But I do think sometimes what's done is done, right? And you know, you should allow yourself to have that grace. India says, I've smoked for 10 years. I have CHS, cannabinoid hypermesis syndrome. I've heard about this, especially a lot in my comments recently. I don't really know anything about it, but I mean, I know that, yeah, cannabis can definitely cause some serious adverse reactions in terms of extreme paranoia, extreme panic attacks, and it can happen in people that have smoked for a long time. Vasco says, I noticed following a decade's absence that weed definitely is a lot more potent. Yeah, I've had a lot of older people in my comments tell me that, right? Anybody like over 50 has said, the cannabis is a lot more potent. And I just, I have nothing to compare it to, right? So that I'm sure that's the case, right? It's a lot of genetic engineering. I mean, it's much more deliberately cultivated nowadays. Stefan Simonovic, I love the Ovic names up in here, says, I picked up other bad habits when I quit weed. Careful of that. Eventually did weed and other bad habits. So I can definitely feel my brain calling out for stuff. I mean, I have this bottle of wine in my, I have a cabinet that was for the longest time my weed cabinet. It's this cool cabinet that's built into the wall in my house. I get some dust in my throat. And it's, it's a nice cabinet. I wanted to kind of do it up because we just moved into this house. And so I have this bottle of wine that I took from back where I lived in Maryland. And it's got a cool label on it. And it's funny that, one of these last few nights I was thinking, well, maybe I should crack it open and drink some wine. Because I don't have any other alcohol or anything. I'm not a big drinker. So yeah, I can feel my brain kind of calling out for stimulation, but I think importantly, that's where exercise is really going to help me, because that's where I used to get out a lot of my energy, exercising. And so that's going to have to, play a role. Yeah, SI, feel free to show your transformation in the Discord. I would be so happy to see that. Matt says, I dream every single night and have a dream journal. I look forward to going to dreamland every night and have a dream journal. Yeah, that's awesome. Hey, Matt lives in Florida. Hey, Matt, well, if you want to hang out next time I'm in Florida, I definitely, I would love to do that. Copal says, I think the hardest part about quitting is how you can tell it's harmful until you fully go through the withdrawals and the chemical imbalance, and then you realize what it was doing. Yeah, maybe. Until you fully go through the withdrawal. Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely interested to see. I think so. I have actually gone long periods of time without weed over the last 10 years. If you've seen my videos, you know that I sort of have this little mind, an affirmation where it's every time I travel, I don't smoke. And so I've gone multiple months without smoking over the last 10, 12 years. And so I think I probably need to go longer than that. I'm thinking 90, 100 days, a year to really be able to look back and have a conversation with myself on, what's different? What's different? How do I feel different? But yeah, that's awesome. Dreaming is essentially tripping at night. Yeah, it is. I mean, it literally is. I've become addicted to that. That's awesome. I love that. Matt, you should, if you're interested, you should look into astral projection, because if you are conscious of your dreams, number one, you can very quickly become a person who's capable of lucid dreaming. It's not that hard. It just requires awareness, and you're more than aware. You are intentionally aware. So yeah, I mean, and astral projection just requires a little bit more practice. Yeah, SI, definitely share that transformation. I would be so keen to see that. Vasco says it's 11:31 here in Melbourne and just woke from an epic dream. No Jasons though. Really interesting stories here. Yeah, I'm glad no Jason Voorhees in your dream. I'm happy to hear that. Travis says, greetings from Vegas, 3 years sober in May. Nice, Travis, good stuff. I'd be curious, how do you feel? Tell us a little bit about how you feel, Travis. I'm keen to go to Vegas. Vegas looks awesome. Not a gambler or anything, but I am definitely a fan of cheap hotels. And I love casinos. I admit that I do like going to the casino. I have never gambled. I never play the games, but for me, it's that after midnight, a lot of casinos have they have free drinks. Somebody walks around with free drinks, and I will drink alcohol. I don't really drink to excess or anything like that, but I'll enjoy a beer or something. but it's fun, like drinking a beer and like, watching people playing cards. And then the food in casinos is typically extremely cheap. I don't know. I like casinos. I like the energy in casinos. Maybe, hopefully that does not ever turn into a problem, but I'm pretty risk averse. I do not like the idea of gambling. I do a lot with the stock market, and that's basically gambling. It's gambling with, skill, technical skill if you learn it. But anyway, that was a tangent. Copal says, yeah, Matthew, my dreams are absolutely nuts now. GN says, I smoke 3 to 6 times a day. How do I cut back? I would say starting with the intention, stick around, read people's stories. It's really helped me to connect with other people and read what other people are going through. But yeah, I mean, it's tough, right? But I think you start with that sense of like, you know what, here's why I want to do this. And granted, I've done a lot with like writing down what are the pros of cannabis, what are the cons, who do I want to be, how does cannabis limit me, journaling, meditating. But I think the bottom line is intentionality, telling yourself that, you know what, I have even just the smallest inkling that I want to change. It's worth pursuing it, right? Because you will be proud of yourself for going through that challenge, whether you succeed or not. It's not about that. What it's about is challenging yourself, because you as a human desire challenge. So that's what I would, that would be my advice to you. And like I said, stick around in this community, because for me, reading what other people are going through has helped me reflect so much. Ethan says, fill your time with other things. Absolutely. But it's tough, isn't it, Ethan? Right? It's tough when you have conditioned yourself to smoke doing everything. It's hard to do anything when you have, quote unquote, elevated every single thing with THC. Most of us go from like smoking at night. Somebody's whipping out there. Most of us go from smoking at night or like smoking on the weekends to smoking every day, because it's like, it's going to be more fun. Listening to music is going to be more fun. Going for a hike is going to be more fun. Exercising is going to be more fun. Playing guitar is going to be more fun. It then moves on to, work is going to be more bearable if I'm high. Social interactions are going to be more bearable. And then that's how it spirals. So I think the first thing that you have to do is acknowledge that it's going to suck. It's not going to be that much fun to quit smoking weed. Ethan says, smoking once a day is too much for me, but I don't want to smoke when I'm sober and don't want it when I'm super high. It's dumb. But I want to smoke. Yeah, and that's the thing, right, Ethan? I think so many of us can relate to that. Like when I'm sober, I really want to smoke. And then when I'm high, I'm like, why the fuck did I smoke? And it kind of gets to that point where it's like, you eventually, it's right after you smoke. It's the second that you get high that you're like, why did I do that? I am not happy that I did that. Knife Boy says alpha GPC helps memory lapse. I'm gonna need to look into that because I have never heard of that. Alpha GPC. Should I make a note of that? I am just gonna commit that to this brand new shining memory that I have. Alpha GPC. Somebody post in the Discord alpha GPC. Vasco says, I totally get its environment and personal hardwiring. Yeah, everyone has their own specific experiences, kaleidoscope, and its myriad manifestations. Addiction, overuse is for me, always there. Yeah, good point. Got to scroll back up because there's so many comments. Official Jalny says, no way, just watched your video today and you're live streaming Lumberjack Jesus. What up, baby? Yeah, let's see. Here, let's actually start from the bottom. Ethan says THC induced psychosis is horrible. Yeah, I've never personally experienced it truly, but that does sound it sounds pretty rough. David Jenkins says, day 52 for me, sober from alcohol and weed. Dope, David. I'm glad that you're here, and congratulations, Ben. Jordan says, doesn't matter if it's a problem, it's still doesn't matter if it's normal, it's still a problem. Alcohol is so heavily accepted in society for how harmful it is, so it might be normal, but I would start looking at. Oh, okay, he's talking to somebody else. Ocean View Shop says, just shrooms, bruh. Hey man, yeah, I've definitely done my fair share of psychedelics. It's funny, I no longer, what's the word that I want here? Psychedelics are one of those things that I've never really felt so much of a craving for the fundamental experience. It's more for the delivery of the feedback that the psychedelic experience provides to a person. However, I'm sort of at a point where, like, I have no plans to do any psychedelics. I would be very cautious taking them, even if I was offered them, because not cautious for like what they can do to you. I am not here to fearmonger about psychedelics. And in fact, I think that for the most part, the average psychedelic, especially psilocybin, lysergic acid, very safe. I do believe that you really have to make sure that you're in a good environment. You do have to set yourself up for a positive experience, because when people talk about having these really difficult experiences with psychedelics, it's typically the environment that just has them fucked up. You're reading all types of energy from people. And if you're around people that you don't really know, or you're around people that you don't really like, it's difficult stuff, man. It's difficult stuff. But yeah, I mean, I'm sort of at the point where it's like, I know what the trip is going to tell me, right? The trip is going to give me a deep insight, but I already possess the insight, right? And it's like, how much can you kind of spam the insight button? That's the way I describe it, right? It's like if you just do psychedelics all the time, or if you've done psychedelics in the past and you've gotten a lot of feedback from it, and you know what the feedback is, what's the point of doing it again? I mean, sure, maybe it's enjoyable, sure, maybe it's exciting, but a lot of the time you're just overdoing it for yourself. And so the last time I tripped, I think, was probably 2 or 3 years ago. And it was sort of one of those experiences where I was like, that was really intense, and I didn't really get anything new out of it. And maybe if I got anything out of it, it was that, I need to be more generous with myself, and acknowledge that, you go through a lot when you take psychedelics. I mean, a psychedelic trip is almost like living through an entire lifetime. That's the way I would describe it. And it, if you don't really have anything that you really feel like you need answers on, and you really need reassurance, or you need to overcome some kind of trauma, a lot of the time it's just not, it doesn't feel that good, And I'm not saying trips are inherently supposed to be good. And in fact, some of the most insight that I've gotten out of trips have been the part of the trip that's bad, that causes me anxiety, that, causes me fear. But it serves a purpose, but I don't feel like there's a breakthrough necessarily that I'm looking for right now. If anything, I feel like what I'm being called to do is to show up authentically, right? There is not some trauma or some dark part of myself that requires specifically being uncovered right now. That's a lifelong journey. We are always uncovering the darkness within ourselves and bringing it to the light. But I know how to do that. I know what that is. And so for me right now, the work is, the ADHD mind, the craving for dopamine calls me to smoke weed. It calls me to do things that provide me these like artificial dopamine hits. What is it going to take for me to sit with that feeling, that desire, to calm it, and provide the world something of value, as I go through that experience? And I feel like that's what I'm being called to do. And so, I just don't really feel like that's what I'm, I want to trip at any time in the near future. Anyway, Vasco says, well, both alpha GPC and THC are known to affect brain function. Alpha GPC is thought to enhance memory and cognition, while THC can impair memory and cognitive function, especially cognitive use. Okay, interesting. I will definitely look into alpha GPC. Do you like, what is it? Do you smoke it? Is it just like a supplement? Or, I mean, I guess you don't necessarily have to smoke THC. So maybe that's a dumb question. John Jones Sass, cool. Started training acting for future rewarding, and then decided to only smoke the stuff that comes from my plants. I guess this is the best way to implement weed in a healthy way. What do you think about it? Yeah, I mean, John, so the reality is, like, I don't think that weed is just all bad. And I don't think that, like, smoking once in a while is a bad thing. I think it can be an enjoyable thing, an insightful thing, a relaxing thing. I think it's totally fine. I just think that all of us know deep down when we are doing something because we're giving into it, right? Versus doing something because doing something from a place of genuine flow and self-love, right? The more we practice honesty, the more that we practice really tapping into that small voice, shall we say, sort of that quiet guiding voice, we know what the truth is. And so I think at the end of the day, John, it's up to you. I could never be the one to tell you if there's a right or wrong way to implement it, right? I like growing weed. I've grown it a couple times. Weed grows, well, it's weed, man. It grows like a weed. It's very easy to grow. It's really satisfying to see it grow. It smells nice. I still love the smell. So I mean, that's totally up to you, man, and or woman or non-conforming person, whatever you happen to be. I can't answer that for you. I think that's up to you. I think you need to ask your guiding voice kind of what the answer to that is. Let's see. Knife Boy says, I was watching Addiction Mindset, who said lucid dreams come back after a week or two of quitting and possible night sweats. Do you mean just like regular dreams? Like, because the lucid dream is that you are lucid within the dream. Like you are aware of, you are aware that you are dreaming. So, I mean, my dreams are already back. So it's only been five days. I mean, tomorrow will be day 6. And I've had dreams the past 2 nights. Addiction Mindset is a great YouTube channel. I really appreciate Addiction Mindset. And the pointedness of his, like he does not hold back. He is raw. He is willing to chastise you and tell you that you're choosing to do something bad, or something that, at very least, something that you don't want to do. So I like Addiction Mindset a lot. NAC, what is NAC? I'd be curious what you guys mean. It sounds like India says, I follow Addiction Mindset on Instagram. That's why I take NAC. Okay, I'd be really curious what NAC is. Let's see. David says, Mirtazapine no longer causes me to have vivid dreams, but it did initially with every dream involving flying. Interesting. And vivid landscapes. Cool. Zach says, carnivore diet helped me feel good without weed. I cannot do the carnivore diet. I am an ethical vegan. I will not be pushing ethical veganism on you, but I'm glad that it helped you. John Jones says, sorry, not American. English from games and YouTube. I do not know exactly what you're saying here, but English from games and YouTube. Sorry, not American. English from games and YouTube. Well, I'm not sorry that you're not American. I am a bit sorry that I am an American these days. So Alpha GFC, L Alpha glyceryl phosphoryl chlorine. Oof, try saying that 3 times fast. Is a chemical made in the body from choline and is also made in a lab and used in dietary supplements. Interesting. Toby says, love your videos. 4 days weed free. I always end up relapsing. Hope this time is different. You and me both, Toby. I will be 6 days weed free tomorrow. So I'm glad that you're here. I really appreciate you saying that. Yeah. Knife Boy says, they say in Indonesian studies compared to cold turkey, NAC was 37% effective compared to 6%. Oh, okay, so we definitely got to try the NAC, but I still have no idea what NAC is. Jordan said, Smash is such a banger of a nickname. Smash is absolutely a banger nickname. OO says, weed used to be special and magical, but then it became routine. Absolutely. OO also says, acetylcysteine. Oof, I am not going to be able to figure that out, dude. But okay, I will copy that and look it up. Get through 72 first 3 days of the hardest. Yeah, and yet it's I don't even feel like it's been hard so far. It hasn't really been that hard. It's not that life is hard, right? It's just that in the boredom, I find myself craving it. That's all it is for me. So and I'll be honest, Matthew, it doesn't feel like it's even harder now than it was 3 days ago, or it's easier than it was 3 days ago. I mean, I'm experiencing this feeling where around now, like 9 p.m. rolls around and I'm just bored. And so maybe I need to stream every day. What the hell? But it's like the boredom that it's like, well, if you had some weed, you'd probably be smoking right now. And that's probably the truth. Like if it was around, I would probably create an excuse to smoke it. Copel says, do you think supporting regeneratively raised farms where animals live happy okay, this is a vegan question. Copal, respectively, I'm going to avoid any vegan questions right now. We will definitely do another stream in the future if you guys want to talk about veganism, but I have no intention of talking about veganism at all right now. It's just too contentious, and everybody's got their own opinions and stuff, and I'm not here to judge any of y'all, or another time. MA says it slows you down for real. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it does, right? And maybe for some people that's beneficial, right? Like, I have ADHD, and so I think to a large degree, that's what weed does. It slows me down, and it causes me to become super present, right? And if you are familiar with the brain science of cannabis, it quite literally does allow you to go deeper on certain thoughts. Well, maybe not deeper if you were to otherwise actively try to go deeper, but the cannabis causes you to have longer firing between your synaptic connections, right? I mean, somebody else could probably describe the brain science better than I could. But, it slows you down for better and for worse. Well, I should have said for worse and for better. Smashly says, I embrace the nickname. Hell yeah, it's an awesome nickname. Risky says, do you guys think it depends on the person and could actually be good for some people? Absolutely, I do. I do think that Risky. I mean, I've met a few people that they have chronic pain specifically. My part. Well, I shouldn't air out my girlfriend's dirty laundry, but I've met a fair few women who, when it comes to the pain from the menstrual cycle, it really helps them a lot. And so the difficult part is, like, once you find yourself struggling with an addiction, it gets difficult to figure out, where am I actually using this as a medicine versus where am I using this as sort of a mechanism for for just avoiding my problems, and I'm giving in to something, right? So, and again, I think that's totally up to you, but I really, I feel for people who actually benefit from it in certain ways, but then they are also addicted to it because it's like they're back and forth. John says chronic depression sucks. Most def it does. Toby says, have you tried hash before? Let me ask you a question, Toby. When you say hash, do you mean, does keef count as hash? Like, is keef also hash? Because if that's what hash is, then hell yeah, I've smoked hash a lot. Smoked a lot of hash, my dude. And Mr. God says, hi there from Serbia, 45 years old, heavy smoker for a decade and a half. I'm lowering the amount that I smoked for the last 2 months, and to be honest, I'm good so far. Stumbled upon your video yesterday and subbed. Good job, man. Hey, thank you, Mr. God. Much love from the United States. I hope all's well in Serbia, and good job. I mean, hey, good work just cutting back. I mean, that's a big step too. Smash Lee says, Smash Lee, not Smash Lee. Fucking, I should just start calling you Rock Lee. Rock Lee says, weed makes you comfortable being bored. Yes, it does. It does. Copal says, if you don't have something else you love to do, it makes it a lot harder to stop smoking. Yeah, that's influential. How much has your lifestyle influenced your ability to cut back? Yeah, that's a really good point. And the other day on the stream, there was a really young guy in here, I think 14 years old, who was asking, like, how do I stop? And I was like, I wish somebody had helped try to encourage me when I was your age, because what are you, 14 years old? You're half my age. That is crazy. I feel closer to 14 than I do to 30, and I'm 28. But, that's one of the things that I said to them was, finding an outlet, finding things that you like that really grip your passion. It makes it easy to prioritize those things because you want to do that stuff more. Like, I wanted to do this live stream today more than I typically want to smoke weed. Granted, I don't have any weed, so I couldn't smoke if I fucking wanted to. But it's helping me a lot to do this. And it's not Mr. God, it's Grumpy in Serbian. Oh, Murgod. Okay, interesting. I'll have to read some Serbian or I have to learn some Serbian, and then we can, and then I can, properly address you in the future. So I do apologize for that. The extent of my my capabilities is English. So, Jordan says I really try not to get caught up in community online because for whatever reason I always crave connection but never end up truly committing long term. Yeah, I mean, feel free to join the Discord and Jordan, that's normal. That's normal, right? Like, the way that I look at it is you connect with people on the internet and whoever it is that you watch on the internet, right? The reality is you probably don't watch them forever. I mean, maybe a few of you have followed a few people on the internet for years. There's a guy on YouTube, Joseph Rodriguez, who's like a big manifestation guy that I've followed for a long time, but I've stopped watching him so much in the last couple of years. I think it's normal. Like, we tend to cycle through communities, like find a community, resonate with it for a while, and then move on. That's totally normal, and no hard feelings. It is what it is. I'm glad that you're here right now, and I genuinely hope that you blossom into whoever it is that you want to be, and if that means you move on, you move on. It's all good. But yeah, that's no worries. Choco flavored cookies 56 says, about to rip my granddaddy perp muha when I get home. All right, bet that. Good, good for you, dude. Jordan says, Smashley says, Jordan, that really resonates with me. I used to be chronically online in Discord servers, but it ended up not being fulfilling, and I stopped for a long time before joining Zach's. Hey, cool. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that, Smashley. Like I said, it's there is no obligation to be here by any means. Heads up to everybody. I am probably going to bounce in a couple seconds here. I'll read a couple more comments, and then I'll give you guys a little outro, a little peace and a little love and a little positive intention. But I'm hungry as a mofo, so I got to go eat some food. Yeah. So Smashley, aka Rock Lee, says it feels really good to be in an online community, not forced this time. Hey, awesome. Yeah, awesome. I'm glad to hear that, Smashley. Yeah, so, I mean, anything else? There is no right way, right? It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter where you are. What matters is that you practice listening to the still small voice within you that knows, right? You can be damn near anything that you want to be. The fact of the matter is to give yourself permission, right? And to give yourself some grace as you go, because this world is so chock full of pain and danger and suffering, right? That one of the best gifts that you could ever give yourself is to be your number one supporter. Now, sometimes that support is going to be hard. Sometimes that support is going to be a little sharp. But if you remember to keep your best intention in mind, you will find people who support you in that same way. You deserve to be loved. You deserve to be cherished. I'm going to cherish and love you regardless of what you give to yourself, but I do hope that you give it to yourself. And so big ups to everybody for showing up. I really appreciate you guys. You guys are changing my life. I mean, you guys have given me so much desire to do something new. And it feels awesome. I mean, I haven't felt that sense of like bristling with excitement to create in a long time. And you guys have given that to me. And I really appreciate it. So much love. Take it easy. Yeah, professional noob, you arrived right at the end. So my apologies. But I am going to be going live a lot more often, so I really appreciate you showing up. And you can watch the stream backwards because it will be saved here on YouTube. David, thank you for being here. Jordan, thank you for being here. Vasco, thank you for being here. OO, thank you for being here. Travis, thank you for being here. Smashly, Knife Boy, John, Murgad, or however the fuck you pronounce it. We'll figure that out. Ryan, Copal, everybody. And if I didn't say your name, I was thinking about your name. Much love. Take it easy. Adios. Bye, everybody.